Welcome back to Drowsy Tales Daily. Tonight I have 33 incredible stories from Reddit about real estate frauds and property deceptions where trusted real estate agents, property managers, mortgage brokers, and housing developers deliberately betrayed client trust through contract manipulation, deposit theft, inspection fraud, and property misrepresentation that turned homeownership dreams into devastating financial nightmares and violated real estate industry standards. Our first story takes us to downtown Seattle, where real estate agent Jennifer had been helping families find their dream homes for 8 years. She was beloved by clients and respected by colleagues for her knowledge of the local market. Jennifer seemed genuinely passionate about helping first-time homebuyers navigate the complex process. Jennifer found us the perfect house in our budget, praised new homeowner Michael during a client testimonial video. She guided us through everything and made buying our first home stress-free. But families started discovering their home purchases involved hidden costs and contract terms that Jennifer had never mentioned during the buying process. She never told us about the mandatory HOA fees or the special assessments, explained shocked homeowner Sarah to her attorney 6 months after closing. Our monthly housing costs are $800 more than what she calculated when we made our offer. When Michael contacted Jennifer about these unexpected expenses, her demeanor completely changed from helpful to dismissive. "All that information was in the disclosure documents you signed," Jennifer said coldly. "It's not my responsibility to read every detail to you." But Michael's attorney discovered Jennifer had been deliberately hiding costly HOA requirements and pending special assessments while encouraging buyers to make offers on properties they couldn't actually afford. She'd been providing false cost calculations that excluded mandatory fees, burying crucial financial information in complex document packages, and pressuring buyers to close quickly before they could discover hidden expenses. The scheme particularly targeted young families who were stretching their budgets to afford homeownership but trusted Jennifer to provide accurate financial guidance. Jennifer had been earning higher commissions from expensive properties while buyers faced financial ruin from housing costs they never anticipated. When real estate authorities investigated her practices, they found evidence Jennifer had misrepresented housing costs for over 200 families while helping sellers hide property defects that reduced property values by millions of dollars. Our second story comes from Phoenix, where mortgage broker Marcus had been helping clients secure home loans for 9 years. He consistently achieved high approval rates and was praised for getting financing for buyers with challenging credit situations. Marcus seemed knowledgeable about lending programs and genuinely committed to homeownership opportunities. Marcus got us approved when 3 other lenders turned us down, announced grateful homeowner Lisa during a mortgage company testimonial. His expertise made our homeownership dream possible when we thought it was hopeless. But borrowers started discovering their mortgage terms were significantly different from what Marcus had promised during the application process. He told us our interest rate would be 4.2% with no prepayment penalties, explained confused homeowner Robert to the Consumer Protection Agency. But our actual loan is 6.8% with huge penalties if we try to refinance. When Robert confronted Marcus about the rate discrepancy, Marcus blamed market changes and lender requirements. "Interest rates fluctuate, and lenders can change terms right up to closing," Marcus explained dismissively. "You should have read your closing documents more carefully." But investigation revealed Marcus had been engaging in classic bait-and-switch mortgage fraud. He'd been promising attractive loan terms to win clients, then switching them to expensive mortgages with higher rates and penalties at closing when buyers felt pressured to complete their home purchases. Marcus had been collecting higher broker fees from expensive loans while buyers discovered they couldn't afford their mortgage payments or refinance to better terms. The scheme particularly harmed first-time buyers who trusted Marcus's expertise but ended up with predatory loans that consumed their family budgets. Marcus had been meeting lender volume targets while families faced foreclosure for mortgages they couldn't afford. When federal investigators examined his lending practices, they found evidence Marcus had switched loan terms for over 400 families while collecting nearly $300,000 in excess broker fees from predatory mortgages that borrowers never agreed to accept. Our third story involves Tampa property manager David, who had been overseeing rental properties and tenant relations for 6 years. He consistently maintained high occupancy rates while handling maintenance and rent collection for multiple property owners. David seemed professional and responsive to both landlords and tenants. David keeps our properties profitable while maintaining good tenant relationships, praised property owner Janet during an investor meeting. His management expertise maximizes our rental income while minimizing tenant problems. But tenants started questioning why their security deposits weren't being returned despite leaving apartments in excellent condition with proper notice. I documented everything with photos and followed all lease requirements, explained frustrated former tenant Maria to the housing authority. But David is claiming I caused thousands of dollars in damage that never existed. When Maria requested documentation of the alleged damage, David provided photos that clearly showed normal wear and tear rather than tenant-caused damage. Investigation revealed David had been systematically stealing security deposits by fabricating damage claims and charging tenants for normal maintenance that landlords should cover. He'd been photographing existing property damage and claiming it was caused by departing tenants, charging excessive cleaning fees for standard apartment preparation, and keeping deposits while telling property owners that apartments required expensive repairs. The scheme particularly harmed young renters who needed their deposits returned to afford new housing but couldn't challenge David's false damage claims. David had been meeting property owner profit expectations while tenants lost money they desperately needed for moving expenses. When housing authorities investigated his property management, they found evidence David had stolen over $800,000 in security deposits from nearly 600 tenants while providing false damage documentation to property owners who trusted his management expertise. Our fourth story takes us to Denver, where Home Inspector Lisa had been conducting property inspections for 7 years. She consistently provided detailed reports that helped buyers make informed decisions about property conditions and necessary repairs. Lisa seemed thorough and professional in her inspection procedures. Lisa's inspection saved us from buying a house with major foundation problems, praised grateful buyer Thomas during a referral testimonial. Her detailed report identified issues that would have cost us thousands to repair. But home buyers started discovering significant property defects that Lisa had failed to identify during inspections they had paid for and relied upon for purchase decisions. The electrical system failed completely 2 weeks after we moved in, explained shocked homeowner Patricia to her insurance company. Lisa's inspection report said all electrical systems were functioning properly, but the fire department says the wiring was dangerous and should have been condemned. When Patricia contacted Lisa about the missed electrical problems, Lisa claimed her inspection met industry standards and wasn't responsible for issues that developed after the inspection date. Home inspections are visual assessments, not guarantees, Lisa explained dismissively. Systems can fail at any time after an inspection is completed. But investigation revealed Lisa had been deliberately overlooking serious property defects while maintaining relationships with real estate agents who referred clients for quick closings. She'd been providing false reports that minimized structural problems, ignored code violations that required expensive repairs, and rushed inspections to accommodate tight closing schedules rather than thoroughly evaluating property conditions. The scheme particularly harmed families who trusted Lisa's expertise but discovered they had purchased homes with dangerous conditions and expensive repair needs they couldn't afford. Lisa had been meeting real estate agent expectations for quick approvals while buyers faced financial ruin from property defects they should have known about before purchase. When professional authorities investigated her inspection practices, they found evidence Lisa had failed to identify over $2 million in property defects while collecting fees for inspections that didn't meet basic industry standards for buyer protection. Our fifth story involves Las Vegas real estate developer Michael, who had been building residential communities for 12 years. He consistently delivered projects on schedule while marketing homes to families seeking new construction quality and warranties. Michael seemed knowledgeable about construction and genuinely committed to building quality homes. Michael's homes are built to the highest standards with attention to every detail, announced marketing director Carol during a model home grand opening. His construction quality and customer service set the standard for new home excellence. But homeowners started discovering serious construction defects that Michael's company had covered up during final inspections and warranty walkthroughs. Our foundation is cracking and the house is settling unevenly, explained concerned homeowner James to the building inspector. Michael's team said these were normal settlement cracks, but an independent engineer says the foundation wasn't built properly. When James demanded warranty repairs, Michael's company claimed the foundation problems were caused by soil conditions that weren't covered under warranty terms. Foundation settlement is a common issue with desert soil, Michael's warranty manager explained. Your warranty covers construction defects, not natural soil movement. But investigation revealed Michael had been using substandard construction methods while charging premium prices for homes that appeared high quality but contained hidden structural defects. He'd been cutting costs by using inferior materials, rushing construction to meet sales deadlines, and covering up problems during final inspections rather than correcting defective work. The scheme particularly harmed families who had invested their life savings in new homes, believing they were getting quality construction with comprehensive warranties. Michael had been maximizing profit margins while homeowners faced expensive repairs for construction defects that proper building practices should have prevented. When building authorities investigated his construction practices, they found evidence Michael had delivered over 300 homes with serious construction defects, while collecting premium prices for substandard construction that violated building codes and industry standards. Our sixth story comes from Atlanta, where real estate attorney Patricia had been handling property closings and legal documentation for 10 years. She consistently processed transactions efficiently while ensuring legal compliance and protecting clients' interests during property transfers. Patricia seemed knowledgeable about real estate law and genuinely committed to protecting her clients. Patricia made our closing smooth and explained everything clearly, praised satisfied client Robert during a bar association testimonial. Her legal expertise gave us confidence that our property transaction was handled properly. But clients started discovering their property titles had problems that Patricia should have identified and resolved during the closing process. "We can't sell our house because there's a lien on the property that Patricia missed," explained frustrated homeowner Dorothy to the State Bar Association. "She was supposed to ensure clear title, but now we're stuck with legal problems that prevent us from selling." When Dorothy contacted Patricia about the title problems, Patricia claimed the lien wasn't visible in public records during the original closing. "Title issues can emerge at any time," Patricia explained defensively. "My responsibility ended when your closing was completed successfully." But investigation revealed Patricia had been deliberately overlooking title problems while rushing closings to maximize her transaction volume and legal fees. She'd been failing to conduct proper title searches, ignoring outstanding liens and judgments that clouded property ownership, and allowing clients to purchase properties with legal complications that prevented future sales. The scheme particularly harmed families who discovered they couldn't sell or refinance their homes due to title defects that Patricia should have identified and resolved before closing. Patricia had been meeting firm revenue targets while clients faced legal expenses and property complications that proper legal review should have prevented. When bar authorities investigated her closing practices, they found evidence Patricia had failed to identify title defects affecting over 400 property transactions while collecting legal fees for services that didn't protect clients' property rights and financial interests. Our seventh story involves Chicago property appraiser Gary, who had been conducting property valuations for mortgage lending and real estate transactions for 15 years. He consistently provided appraisals that supported loan approvals while maintaining professional standards for property valuation. Gary seemed experienced and objective in his valuation methodology. "Gary's appraisals are thorough and help us make sound lending decisions," praised mortgage lender Rebecca during an industry conference. His market knowledge ensures accurate property valuations that protect both lenders and borrowers. But mortgage lenders started questioning why Gary's appraisals consistently supported loan amounts that seemed higher than actual market values warranted. His appraisal valued the property at $450,000, but 3 recent comparable sales were all under $380,000, explained concerned underwriter Susan to the appraisal review board. "The valuation seems inflated compared to actual market conditions in that neighborhood." When Susan requested Gary's comparable sales analysis, she discovered he had been using sales data from different neighborhoods and older transactions that didn't accurately reflect current market values. Investigation revealed Gary had been inflating property appraisals to support higher loan amounts while collecting fees from mortgage brokers who needed elevated valuations for loan approvals. He'd been manipulating comparable sales data, ignoring property defects that reduced values, and using questionable valuation methods that overstated property worth to support larger mortgages. The scheme particularly harmed borrowers who ended up owing more on their mortgages than their properties were actually worth, creating negative equity situations that prevented refinancing or selling. Gary had been meeting mortgage broker expectations for high appraisals while borrowers faced financial difficulties from overvalued properties that couldn't support their mortgage debt. When appraisal authorities investigated his valuation practices, they found evidence Gary had inflated property values by over $50 million while helping mortgage brokers obtain loan approvals for properties that didn't justify the loan amounts being requested. Our eighth story takes us to Miami, where property management company owner Rachel had been operating rental communities and handling tenant services for 9 years. She consistently maintained profitable properties while providing housing for hundreds of families in multiple residential communities. Rachel seemed professional and experienced in property operations. Rachel's management keeps our properties profitable while providing quality housing for our tenants, announced property investor Martin during an ownership meeting. Her operational expertise maximizes our return while maintaining good tenant relationships. But tenants started discovering their rental applications included false information and hidden fees that Rachel had added without their knowledge or consent. My credit report shows rental history at properties I never lived in, explained confused tenant applicant Jennifer to the credit reporting agency. Rachel's company added false rental references to make my application look better, but now I have incorrect information affecting my credit score. When Jennifer confronted Rachel about the false rental history, Rachel claimed it was a clerical error in their application system. Sometimes our database has glitches that mix up applicant information, Rachel explained dismissively. We can correct any errors once you point them out to us. But investigation revealed Rachel had been systematically fabricating rental histories and employment information to help unqualified tenants get approved for apartments they couldn't afford while collecting application fees and deposits from applicants who would inevitably face eviction. She'd been creating false employment verification, adding fictional rental references, and manipulating credit information to qualify tenants who couldn't pay rent reliably. The scheme particularly harmed both tenants who faced eviction when they couldn't afford rent payments and property owners who suffered losses from tenants who should never have been approved. Rachel had been collecting application fees from unqualified applicants while creating rental problems that damaged both tenants' credit and property owners' rental income. When housing authorities investigated her tenant screening practices, they found evidence Rachel had falsified application information for over 800 tenants, while collecting fees from applicants who were set up to fail in rental situations they couldn't afford. Our ninth story involves Portland real estate agent Thomas, who had been specializing in first-time homebuyer assistance for 11 years. He consistently helped young families navigate the home buying process while securing financing and finding affordable properties. Thomas seemed genuinely committed to homeownership education and first-time buyer success. Thomas helped us understand every step of buying our first home, praised grateful homeowner Lisa during a real estate company testimonial. His patience and expertise made the complicated process manageable for first-time buyers like us. But first-time buyers started discovering their home purchases involved mortgage terms and closing costs that were significantly higher than what Thomas had estimated during the buying process. He told us our closing costs would be around $3,000. But we had to bring $8,500 to closing, explained shocked buyer David to the Consumer Protection Agency. We almost lost the house because we didn't have enough money for the actual closing costs. When David questioned Thomas about the cost discrepancy, Thomas blamed last-minute lender requirements and market changes. Closing costs can vary based on final loan terms, Thomas explained. First-time buyers need to be prepared for changes that can occur during the mortgage process. But investigation revealed Thomas had been deliberately underestimating closing costs and mortgage terms to encourage first-time buyers to make offers on properties they couldn't actually afford to purchase. He'd been providing false cost estimates to win exclusive buyer agreements, pressuring buyers to proceed with purchases even when actual costs exceeded their budgets, and collecting commissions from sales that left buyers financially strapped. The scheme particularly harmed young families who were using all their savings for home purchases, but discovered they needed thousands more than Thomas had indicated for closing costs and mortgage requirements. Thomas had been meeting sales targets while buyers faced financial hardship from home purchases that consumed more resources than they had available. When real estate authorities investigated his buyer representation, they found evidence Thomas had misrepresented purchase costs for over 300 first-time buyers, while earning commissions from sales that left families financially overextended and unable to afford their new homes. Our 10th story comes from Houston, where commercial real estate broker Jennifer had been handling business property transactions for 13 years. She consistently facilitated commercial deals while helping businesses find suitable properties for their operations. Jennifer seemed knowledgeable about commercial real estate and genuinely committed to business success. Jennifer found the perfect location for our restaurant with terms we could afford, announced satisfied business owner Carlos during a Chamber of Commerce meeting. Her commercial expertise helped us secure a lease that made our business plan viable. But business owners started discovering their commercial leases contained terms and restrictions that Jennifer had never mentioned during lease negotiations. She never told us about the exclusive competitor clause that prevents us from operating our business, explained devastated restaurant owner Maria to her attorney. The lease prohibits our type of restaurant, but Jennifer assured us the property was perfect for our concept. When Maria confronted Jennifer about the business-killing lease restriction, Jennifer claimed the information was available in lease documents. All lease terms are disclosed in the legal documents, Jennifer said defensively. Business owners should review contracts with their attorneys before signing. But investigation revealed Jennifer had been deliberately concealing lease restrictions and property limitations while encouraging businesses to sign leases for properties that wouldn't support their planned operations. She'd been hiding competitor exclusions, failing to disclose zoning restrictions, and pressuring businesses to sign leases quickly before they could discover limitations that would prevent successful operations. The scheme particularly harmed small business owners who had invested their life savings in businesses that couldn't operate due to lease restrictions Jennifer should have disclosed during negotiations. Jennifer had been earning commissions from commercial leases, while businesses failed due to property limitations that proper disclosure should have revealed before lease signing. When commercial real estate authorities investigated her brokerage practices, they found evidence Jennifer had concealed lease restrictions affecting over 150 businesses while earning commissions from leases that prevented successful business operations worth millions in failed investments. Our 11th story involves San Diego property developer Mark, who had been building and selling condominiums for 8 years. He consistently delivered projects that appealed to buyers seeking modern amenities and convenient locations. Mark seemed knowledgeable about construction and genuinely committed to quality development. Mark's condos offer the best value in the city with luxury amenities at affordable prices, announced sales director Patricia during a marketing event. His development expertise creates communities that enhance residents' lifestyles while building property values. But condo owners started discovering their buildings had serious structural and mechanical problems that Mark's company had hidden during sales and warranty periods. Our elevator breaks down constantly and the fire alarm system doesn't work, explained frustrated owner Robert to the city building inspector. Mark's sales team said these were luxury buildings with top-quality systems, but everything seems to be failing at once. When Robert demanded warranty repairs, Mark's company claimed the problems were caused by resident misuse rather than construction defects. Mechanical systems require proper maintenance by the Homeowners Association, Mark's service manager explained. These aren't warranty issues if residents haven't maintained systems properly. But investigation revealed Mark had been using inferior construction methods and materials while marketing condos as luxury developments with premium amenities and systems. He'd been installing cheap mechanical systems that couldn't handle building demands, using substandard construction materials that failed quickly, and covering up defects during final inspections rather than correcting problems. The scheme particularly harmed condo owners who had paid premium prices for luxury living but faced expensive repairs and special assessments for systems that should have been built properly initially. Mark had been maximizing development profits while owners faced ongoing maintenance costs for construction shortcuts that created permanent building problems. When building authorities investigated his development practices, they found evidence Mark had delivered over 200 condos with serious construction defects while collecting premium prices for substandard construction that violated building codes and marketing promises. Our 12th story takes us to Philadelphia, where real estate investment advisor Susan had been helping clients build rental property portfolios for 9 years. She consistently identified profitable investment opportunities while providing guidance on property management and rental income optimization. Susan seemed knowledgeable about real estate investing and genuinely committed to investor success. Susan helped us build a portfolio of rental properties that provides steady income, praised satisfied investor Michael during an investment seminar. Her market knowledge and property analysis expertise helped us make sound investment decisions. But investors started discovering their rental properties had problems that Susan had failed to identify during property analysis and investment recommendations. The properties she recommended have constant vacancy problems and expensive maintenance issues, explained frustrated investor Dorothy to the Real Estate Commission. Our rental income is half what she projected because of problems she didn't mention during our property analysis. When Dorothy confronted Susan about the investment performance problems, Susan blamed market changes and tenant issues beyond her control. Real estate investing always involves risks that can't be predicted, Susan explained. Market conditions change and property performance can vary from initial projections. But investigation revealed Susan had been deliberately concealing property problems while inflating rental income projections to earn commissions from investment sales that weren't actually profitable. She'd been hiding structural problems that required expensive repairs, overestimating rental rates that properties couldn't command, and failing to disclose neighborhood issues that affected property values and rental demand. The scheme particularly harmed investors who had used retirement savings and borrowed money to purchase rental properties that became financial burdens rather than income-producing investments. Susan had been earning commissions from investment sales while investors faced financial losses from properties that couldn't generate promised returns. When investment authorities investigated her advisory practices, they found evidence Susan had misrepresented investment potential for over 400 properties while earning commissions from sales that cost investors nearly $12 million and losses from properties that never met projected performance standards. Our 13th story involves Phoenix real estate wholesaler David, who had been finding distressed properties and connecting them with investors for 6 years. He consistently identified undervalued properties while facilitating quick transactions for investors seeking profitable deals. David seemed knowledgeable about distressed property markets and genuinely committed to investor opportunities. David finds deals that other investors miss, announced satisfied investor Lisa during a real estate club meeting. His ability to identify undervalued properties has helped us build our investment portfolio with profitable acquisitions. But investors started discovering the properties David sold them had problems and liens that made them impossible to renovate or resell profitably. The property has 3 liens and a code enforcement violation that makes it unsellable, explained frustrated investor James to his attorney. David said it was a clean deal with clear title, but we can't even get permits for renovation work. When James confronted David about the title problems, David claimed the issues developed after the sale was completed. Distressed properties can have complications that emerge during the renovation process, David explained dismissively. Investors should conduct their own due diligence before purchasing any property. But investigation revealed David had been deliberately concealing property problems while inflating potential profits to earn fees from wholesale transactions that weren't actually viable investments. He'd been hiding liens and code violations, failing to disclose structural problems that prevented profitable renovation, and misrepresenting property values to justify wholesale prices that left no room for investor profit. The scheme particularly harmed investors who had limited experience with distressed properties but trusted David's expertise to identify legitimate investment opportunities. David had been earning wholesale fees while investors faced financial losses from properties that couldn't be renovated or resold due to problems David should have disclosed before transactions. When real estate authorities investigated his wholesale practices, they found evidence David had concealed property problems affecting over 200 transactions while earning fees from deals that cost investors nearly $8 million in losses from properties that never offered the investment potential David had represented. Our 14th story comes from Boston, where property tax advisor Patricia had been helping homeowners understand and challenge property tax assessments for 12 years. She consistently achieved tax reductions while helping families manage their property tax burdens. Patricia seemed knowledgeable about assessment procedures and genuinely committed to taxpayer advocacy. Patricia saved us thousands in property taxes by successfully challenging our assessment, praised grateful homeowner Robert during a taxpayer advocacy testimonial. Her expertise with assessment appeals helped us afford to keep our family home. But homeowners started discovering their tax appeals had been processed incorrectly, resulting in higher taxes rather than the reductions Patricia had promised. My property taxes increased after Patricia's appeal, explained confused homeowner Maria to the tax assessor's office. She guaranteed my taxes would be reduced, but now I owe more than before the appeal process started. When Maria contacted Patricia about the increased tax bill, Patricia claimed the assessment system had errors that weren't her responsibility. Sometimes the assessor's office makes mistakes in processing appeals, Patricia explained. These system errors are beyond my control and should be corrected by the tax office. But investigation revealed Patricia had been deliberately filing incorrect appeals while collecting fees from homeowners who believed she was working to reduce their property taxes. She'd been submitting appeals that actually increased property valuations, providing false documentation that supported higher assessments, and collecting fees while homeowners faced increased tax burdens rather than the promised reductions. The scheme particularly harmed homeowners who were struggling with property tax affordability but trusted Patricia's expertise to help reduce their tax obligations. Patricia had been collecting appeal fees while homeowners faced higher taxes that made their homes less affordable. When tax authorities investigated her appeal practices, they found evidence Patricia had filed incorrect appeals for over 500 homeowners while collecting fees that resulted in increased property taxes totaling nearly $3 million in additional tax burden for families who had paid for tax reduction services. Our 15th story involves Seattle property management consultant Michael, who had been advising rental property owners on tenant relations and regulatory compliance for 10 years. He consistently helped landlords maximize rental income while avoiding legal problems with tenant rights and housing regulations. Michael seemed knowledgeable about landlord-tenant law and genuinely committed to profitable property management. Michael's advice helped us increase our rental income while staying compliant with housing regulations, announced satisfied property owner Jennifer during a landlord association meeting. His expertise in tenant law helps us avoid legal problems while maximizing our investment returns. But property owners started discovering Michael's advice had led them into legal violations that resulted in expensive penalties and tenant lawsuits. Following Michael's recommendations got us sued for housing discrimination, explained devastated landlord Carlos to his attorney. He told us those tenant screening practices were legal, but now we're facing federal civil rights violations and massive penalties. When Carlos confronted Michael about the legal problems, Michael claimed housing laws had changed after he provided his advice. Housing regulations change frequently, and landlords need to stay current with legal updates, Michael explained defensively. My advice was accurate when I provided it, but laws can change at any time. But investigation revealed Michael had been providing advice that violated housing laws while collecting consulting fees from landlords who faced legal consequences from following his recommendations. He'd been recommending discriminatory practices that violated fair housing laws, advising illegal eviction procedures that exposed landlords to tenant lawsuits, and encouraging rental practices that violated local housing regulations. The scheme particularly harmed property owners who trusted Michael's legal expertise but faced expensive lawsuits and regulatory penalties from following advice that violated tenant rights and housing laws. Michael had been collecting consulting fees while landlords faced legal expenses and penalties that proper legal advice should have prevented. When housing authorities investigated his consulting practices, they found evidence Michael had provided illegal advice affecting over 300 rental properties while collecting fees that resulted in legal penalties and lawsuit settlements totaling nearly $15 million for landlords who followed his recommendations. Our 16th story takes us to Dallas, where real estate photography service owner Lisa had been providing marketing images for property listings for 7 years. She consistently delivered attractive photos that helped properties sell quickly while showcasing homes effectively for potential buyers. Lisa seemed professional and creative in her photography approach. Lisa's photos make our listings stand out and attract more buyer interest, praised real estate agent Robert during a marketing seminar. Her photography expertise helps properties sell faster and for better prices. But home buyers started discovering the properties they purchased looked significantly different from Lisa's listing photos, with problems and limitations that weren't visible in marketing images. The house looks nothing like the photos, explained disappointed buyer Patricia to her real estate agent. The rooms are much smaller, the yard is overgrown, and there's obvious damage that wasn't shown in any of the listing pictures. When Patricia's agent contacted Lisa about the photo discrepancies, Lisa claimed lighting and angles could make properties appear different in photos versus reality. Real estate photography is about showcasing properties in their best light, Lisa explained. Buyers should always visit properties in person before making purchase decisions. But investigation revealed Lisa had been using digital manipulation and deceptive photography techniques to hide property defects while making spaces appear larger and more attractive than they actually were. She'd been digitally removing property damage, using wide-angle lenses that distorted room sizes, and editing photos to hide problems that would affect property values and buyer decisions. The scheme particularly harmed buyers who relied on listing photos to narrow their property searches but discovered they had purchased homes that didn't match the marketing images they had used for decision-making. Lisa had been earning photography fees while buyers faced disappointment and financial losses from properties that didn't offer the features and quality shown in manipulated listing photos. When real estate authorities investigated her photography practices, they found evidence Lisa had digitally manipulated over 2,000 property listings while helping sell homes that didn't match marketing representations, affecting buyer decisions worth nearly $30 million in property transactions. Our 17th story involves Los Angeles real estate escrow officer Gary, who had been managing property transaction funds and documentation for 14 years. He consistently processed closings efficiently while protecting buyer and seller interests during property transfers. Gary seemed trustworthy and experienced in escrow procedures. Gary handles our most complex transactions with professionalism and attention to detail, praised escrow company manager Carol during a staff meeting. His expertise ensures smooth closings while protecting all parties' financial interests. But property buyers and sellers started discovering their escrow funds had been mishandled, with money missing or transferred incorrectly during closing processes. My earnest money deposit disappeared, and Gary claims it was never received, explained frustrated buyer Thomas to the Real Estate Commission. I have bank records showing the wire transfer, but Gary says there's no record of the funds in escrow. When Thomas's attorney investigated the missing deposit, they discovered Gary had been systematically diverting escrow funds while maintaining false records that concealed the theft from buyers, sellers, and oversight agencies. Gary had been transferring client funds to personal accounts while creating false documentation suggesting proper escrow management and legitimate fund disbursement. The scheme particularly harmed buyers who lost down payment money and sellers who never received proceeds from property sales due to Gary's systematic theft of escrow funds meant to complete transactions. Gary had been meeting company productivity targets while clients faced financial losses from escrow theft that violated the fundamental trust required for property transactions. When escrow authorities investigated his fund management, they found evidence Gary had stolen over $4 million in escrow funds while processing transactions that left buyers and sellers without money they were entitled to receive through proper escrow procedures. Our 18th story comes from Nashville, where real estate investment seminar leader Rachel had been teaching property investment strategies for 8 years. She consistently attracted large audiences while teaching techniques for building wealth through real estate investing. Rachel seemed knowledgeable about investment strategies and genuinely committed to student success. Rachel's investment strategies helped me build a profitable rental portfolio, announced satisfied student Michael during a testimonial video. Her teaching expertise and market knowledge made real estate investing accessible and profitable for beginners like me. But seminar students started discovering the investment strategies Rachel taught didn't work in actual market conditions, resulting in financial losses rather than the promised profits. Following Rachel's system cost me my savings, explained devastated student Dorothy to the Consumer Protection Agency. The properties I bought using her methods have constant vacancy and maintenance problems that make them unprofitable. When Dorothy contacted Rachel about the investment losses, Rachel claimed market conditions had changed since her training materials were developed. Real estate investing always involves risks, and market conditions can affect investment performance, Rachel explained. Students need to adapt strategies to their local market conditions. But investigation revealed Rachel had been teaching investment strategies that didn't work while collecting seminar fees from students who faced financial losses from following her recommendations. She'd been promoting investment techniques that required market conditions that didn't exist, recommending property types that weren't profitable in most markets, and selling advanced courses that promised strategies she had never successfully implemented. The scheme particularly harmed beginning investors who had used retirement savings and borrowed money to fund real estate investments that became financial disasters rather than wealth-building opportunities. Rachel had been earning seminar fees while students faced investment losses that consumed their life savings and left them deeper in debt rather than building wealth. When education authorities investigated her investment teaching, they found evidence Rachel had collected over $2 million in seminar fees while students suffered investment losses totaling nearly $12 million from strategies that never offered the profit potential Rachel had promised. Our 19th story involves Miami real estate auction company owner Stephen, who had been conducting property auctions for distressed and foreclosure properties for 9 years. He consistently attracted bidders while facilitating property sales for banks and distressed sellers. Stephen seemed professional and knowledgeable about auction procedures. Stephen's auctions provide excellent opportunities for investors to acquire properties at below-market prices, announced satisfied bidder Lisa during an investor meeting. His auction expertise creates competitive bidding that benefits both buyers and sellers. But auction winners started discovering the properties they purchased had serious problems that Stephen had failed to disclose during auction marketing and bidding processes. The property has foundation damage and environmental contamination that makes it worthless, explained frustrated winner James to his attorney. Stephen's auction materials said it was a great investment opportunity, but the property is actually a liability that will cost more to fix than it's worth. When James demanded refund of his auction purchase, Stephen claimed all sales were final and buyers assumed all risks. Auction sales are as is purchases where buyers accept responsibility for property conditions, Stephen explained. All terms were clearly disclosed in auction materials. But investigation revealed Stephen had been deliberately concealing property problems while inflating property values to attract bidders who would pay more for properties than they were actually worth. He'd been hiding structural damage, environmental problems, and legal complications while marketing properties as investment opportunities that were actually financial liabilities. The scheme particularly harmed investors who trusted Stephen's property descriptions but discovered they had purchased properties that required expensive remediation or were impossible to resell profitably. Stephen had been earning auction commissions while buyers faced financial losses from properties that didn't offer the investment potential Stephen had represented during auction marketing. When auction authorities investigated his sales practices, they found evidence Stephen had concealed property problems affecting over 400 auction sales while earning commissions from transactions that cost buyers nearly $18 million in losses from properties that never justified their auction prices. Our 20th story takes us to Denver, where commercial lease broker Patricia had been arranging business space rentals for 11 years. She consistently helped businesses find suitable commercial properties while negotiating favorable lease terms. Patricia seemed knowledgeable about commercial leasing and genuinely committed to business success. Patricia found perfect office space for our growing company with lease terms that fit our budget, announced satisfied business owner Robert during a commercial real estate conference. Her negotiation expertise helped us secure space that supports our business growth while managing our overhead costs. But business tenants started discovering their commercial leases contained hidden costs and restrictions that Patricia had never mentioned during lease negotiations. Our lease has percentage rent clauses that make our space unaffordable, explained struggling business owner Maria to her accountant. Patricia never mentioned we'd owe additional rent based on sales volume, and now our rent costs are destroying our profit margins. When Maria confronted Patricia about the undisclosed lease terms, Patricia claimed all lease provisions were included in legal documents. Commercial leases are complex legal documents that businesses should review with attorneys, Patricia explained defensively. All terms were disclosed in the lease agreement you signed. But investigation revealed Patricia had been deliberately concealing expensive lease terms while encouraging businesses to sign leases for properties they couldn't actually afford once all costs were considered. She'd been hiding percentage rent clauses, failing to disclose common area maintenance charges, and pressuring businesses to sign leases quickly before they could discover terms that would make spaces unaffordable. The scheme particularly harmed small businesses that had budgeted carefully for commercial space but discovered their actual lease costs exceeded their ability to operate profitably. Patricia had been earning leasing commissions while businesses failed due to lease obligations they never agreed to accept. When commercial leasing authorities investigated her brokerage practices, they found evidence Patricia had concealed lease terms affecting over 200 businesses while earning commissions from leases that forced business closures due to unaffordable rental obligations. Our 21st story involves Orlando property flipping consultant David, who had been teaching house flipping strategies and providing project management services for 6 years. He consistently attracted students while helping them execute renovation projects for profitable resales. David seemed experienced in renovation and genuinely committed to student success. David's flipping system helped me turn my first renovation project into a $30,000 profit, announced satisfied student Jennifer during a real estate seminar. His project management expertise and contractor connections made flipping profitable and manageable for beginners. But students started discovering their flipping projects had massive cost overruns and quality problems that eliminated profits and created financial losses. My renovation costs were double what David projected, and the work quality is so poor I can't sell the house, explained devastated student Thomas to the contractor licensing board. David's contractors did such bad work that I need to redo everything, which will cost more than the house is worth. When Thomas confronted David about the project disasters, David blamed market changes and contractor performance issues beyond his control. House flipping always involves risks from unexpected costs and contractor problems, David explained. Students need to have contingency funds for issues that can arise during renovation projects. But investigation revealed David had been providing unrealistic cost estimates while steering students to contractors who paid him kickbacks for referrals regardless of work quality. He'd been underestimating renovation costs to make projects appear profitable, recommending contractors who provided cheap but substandard work, and collecting fees from both students and contractors while projects failed due to poor planning and execution. The scheme particularly harmed beginning investors who had used their life savings to fund flipping projects that became financial disasters due to David's misleading guidance and contractor relationships. David had been earning consulting fees and contractor kickbacks while students faced bankruptcy from renovation projects that consumed more money than properties could ever be worth. When contractor authorities investigated his referral practices, they found evidence David had steered students to unqualified contractors while collecting over $300,000 in kickbacks from projects that cost students nearly $8 million in losses from failed renovation attempts. Our 22nd story comes from Las Vegas, where real estate title company owner Lisa had been processing property ownership transfers and title insurance for 13 years. She consistently processed transactions efficiently while protecting buyers and lenders from title defects and ownership problems. Lisa seemed trustworthy and experienced in title procedures. Lisa's title company handles our most complex transactions with professionalism and accuracy, praised mortgage lender Michael during an industry meeting. Her title expertise protects our loans while ensuring smooth property transfers for buyers and sellers. But property buyers started discovering their titles had problems that Lisa's company should have identified and resolved during the closing process. "We can't refinance our house because there's a judgment lien that Lisa's title search missed," explained frustrated homeowner Patricia to the state insurance commissioner. Her company issued title insurance, but now they're refusing to cover the lien that prevents us from accessing our home equity. When Patricia filed a claim with Lisa's title insurance company, they denied coverage, claiming the lien wasn't covered under policy terms. Title insurance has specific exclusions for certain types of liens, Lisa's claims manager explained. This particular judgment may not be covered depending on when it was filed and recorded. But investigation revealed Lisa had been deliberately overlooking title defects while issuing title insurance policies that wouldn't actually protect buyers from the problems she had failed to identify. She'd been conducting inadequate title searches that missed liens and encumbrances, issuing insurance policies with exclusions that eliminated coverage for problems she should have found, and collecting title fees while providing protection that wouldn't help buyers when title problems emerged. The scheme particularly harmed homeowners who discovered they couldn't sell or refinance their properties due to title defects that Lisa's insurance policies didn't cover despite paying for title protection. Lisa had been meeting company profit targets while buyers faced legal expenses and property limitations that proper title work should have prevented. When insurance authorities investigated her title practices, they found evidence Lisa had issued defective title insurance affecting over 800 properties while collecting fees for protection that didn't cover the title problems buyers actually faced when trying to sell or refinance their homes. Our 23rd story involves Portland real estate marketing company owner Michael, who had been creating promotional materials and websites for property developments for 9 years. He consistently delivered marketing campaigns that attracted buyers while showcasing development amenities and community features. Michael seemed creative and professional in his marketing approach. Michael's marketing expertise helped us sell our entire development 6 months ahead of schedule, announced satisfied developer Carol during a marketing awards ceremony. His promotional campaigns created buyer excitement that drove sales and maximized our project profitability. But home buyers started discovering the developments they purchased didn't include the amenities and features that Michael's marketing materials had prominently advertised. The community clubhouse and fitness center were never built, explained disappointed buyer Robert to the Real Estate Commission. Michael's marketing showed these amenities as completed features, but they were apparently just conceptual drawings that were never actually planned for construction. When Robert contacted Michael about the missing amenities, Michael claimed his marketing materials clearly indicated which features were planned versus completed. Development marketing always includes conceptual amenities that depend on sales progress and market conditions, Michael explained. Buyers should verify amenity completion schedules with developers before making purchase decisions. But investigation revealed Michael had been creating deliberately misleading marketing materials that showed planned amenities as existing features while knowing they would never be built or completed. He'd been using architectural renderings and promotional language that suggested amenities were included with home purchases when developers had no intention of providing those features. The scheme particularly harmed buyers who paid premium prices for homes, believing they were purchasing access to community amenities that were never actually available. Michael had been earning marketing fees, while buyers faced property value losses from developments that didn't offer the amenities used to justify higher purchase prices. When advertising authorities investigated his marketing practices, they found evidence Michael had created misleading promotional materials for over 50 developments while helping sell homes based on amenities that were never provided, affecting buyer decisions worth nearly $40 million in property purchases. Our 24th story takes us to Phoenix, where real estate investment trust manager Rachel had been managing pooled real estate investments for 12 years. She consistently attracted investor funds while promising stable returns from diversified property portfolios. Rachel seemed knowledgeable about real estate finance and genuinely committed to investor success. Rachel's real estate fund has provided consistent returns while protecting our investment principal, announced satisfied investor Stephen during an investment club meeting. Her professional management and property expertise have made real estate investing accessible and profitable for our retirement planning. But investors started discovering their investment returns were significantly lower than Rachel had projected, with some investors losing principal rather than earning profits. My investment account shows a 20% loss when Rachel promised stable positive returns, explained concerned investor Dorothy to the Securities Commission. She said real estate was a safe investment that would protect my retirement savings, but I'm losing money instead of earning income. When Dorothy requested detailed account statements, Rachel provided reports that seemed inconsistent with actual property performance and market conditions. Investigation revealed Rachel had been using new investor funds to pay returns to existing investors while diverting money to personal accounts rather than purchasing profitable real estate investments. She'd been operating a classic Ponzi scheme that used later investors' money to pay earlier investors while creating false property portfolios that didn't actually exist. The scheme particularly harmed retirees who had invested life savings expecting stable income but faced total loss when the fraud collapsed and no real estate assets existed to support their investments. Rachel had been collecting management fees while investors faced financial ruin from investments that never actually purchased the real estate properties promised in fund marketing materials. When securities authorities investigated her investment management, they found evidence Rachel had stolen over $15 million in investor funds while operating a fraudulent investment scheme that destroyed retirement security for over 400 investors who trusted her real estate expertise. Our 25th story involves Chicago real estate syndication organizer Gary, who had been arranging group investments in commercial real estate projects for 10 years. He consistently attracted investor groups while facilitating large property acquisitions that individual investors couldn't afford alone. Gary seemed experienced in commercial real estate and genuinely committed to investor opportunities. Gary's syndication deals have provided excellent returns while giving us access to institutional quality real estate investments, announced satisfied investor Jennifer during a real estate conference. His expertise in commercial property analysis and deal structuring has created investment opportunities that individual investors normally can't access. But syndication investors started discovering their commercial properties had problems and expenses that Gary had failed to disclose during investment marketing and due diligence presentations. The office building has massive deferred maintenance and environmental problems that make it unprofitable, explained frustrated investor James to his attorney. Gary's investment materials showed a profitable property with stable tenants, but the reality is completely different from what he presented to investors. When James demanded detailed property financials, Gary claimed market conditions had changed after the investment was completed. Commercial real estate involves risks from changing market conditions and unexpected property issues, Gary explained defensively. Investors understood they were accepting risks when they committed to syndication participation. But investigation revealed Gary had been deliberately concealing property problems while inflating potential returns to attract investors who wouldn't have participated if they knew actual property conditions and financial performance. He'd been hiding deferred maintenance costs, misrepresenting tenant stability, and providing false financial projections that made unprofitable properties appear like attractive investments. The scheme particularly harmed investors who had committed significant portions of their investment portfolios to commercial real estate expecting steady returns but faced losses from properties that required constant capital contributions rather than generating income. Gary had been collecting syndication fees while investors faced ongoing assessments and financial losses from commercial properties that never offered the investment potential Gary had represented during marketing presentations. When securities authorities investigated his syndication practices, they found evidence Gary had misrepresented commercial property investments affecting over 300 investors while collecting fees from deals that resulted in total losses exceeding $25 million. Our 26th story comes from Tampa, where real estate education company owner Patricia had been teaching property investment courses and certification programs for 11 years. She consistently attracted students while providing education about real estate investing, property management, and market analysis. Patricia seemed knowledgeable about real estate education and genuinely committed to student learning. Patricia's real estate courses provided the knowledge and confidence I needed to start investing successfully, announced satisfied student Michael during a graduation ceremony. Her comprehensive curriculum and practical teaching approach made complex real estate concepts accessible and actionable for beginners. But students started discovering the certifications Patricia provided weren't recognized by industry organizations and the strategies she taught didn't work in actual market conditions. Employers don't recognize Patricia's certifications, and the investment strategies she taught have cost me thousands in losses, explained disappointed student Lisa to the education department. She promised her courses would qualify me for real estate careers, but her credentials aren't accepted anywhere in the industry. When Lisa contacted Patricia about the worthless certifications, Patricia claimed her programs provided valuable education regardless of industry recognition. Real estate education is about knowledge and skill development, not just credentials, Patricia explained. Students gain valuable insights that help them succeed even if specific certifications aren't universally recognized. But investigation revealed Patricia had been selling fake certifications while teaching outdated strategies that didn't work in current market conditions. She'd been creating impressive-looking certificates that had no industry value, teaching investment techniques that were no longer viable, and collecting course fees while providing education that didn't prepare students for real estate careers or successful investing. The scheme particularly harmed students who had paid thousands for education expecting career advancement and investment success, but discovered they had received worthless training that didn't provide promised opportunities. Patricia had been earning course fees while students faced career disappointment and investment losses from education that didn't deliver the knowledge and credentials necessary for real estate success. When education authorities investigated her course offerings, they found evidence Patricia had sold fake certifications to over 2,000 students while collecting course fees totaling nearly $4 million for education that didn't provide the career preparation and investment knowledge students had paid to receive. Our 27th story involves Miami real estate crowdfunding platform owner David, who had been facilitating online real estate investments for 8 years. He consistently attracted investors while providing access to real estate deals through modern technology platforms. David seemed innovative and knowledgeable about real estate technology. David's crowdfunding platform makes real estate investing accessible with lower minimums and professional management, announced satisfied investor Carol during a fintech conference. His technology expertise and deal sourcing have democratized real estate investing for ordinary investors who couldn't access these opportunities before. But platform investors started discovering their investments weren't performing as projected, with some properties showing losses rather than the promised returns. My crowdfunding investments are showing negative returns when the platform projected 8% annual gains, explained concerned investor Robert to the SEC. David's platform claims the properties are profitable, but investor statements show consistent losses that don't match marketing projections. When Robert requested detailed property performance data, David provided reports that seemed inconsistent with actual market conditions and property management results. Investigation revealed David had been fabricating property performance while diverting investor funds to personal accounts rather than purchasing the real estate investments shown on his platform. He'd been creating fake property portfolios with fictional performance data while using new investor funds to pay returns to existing investors in a sophisticated online Ponzi scheme. The scheme particularly harmed younger investors who had trusted technology platforms and modern investment approaches but discovered their retirement savings had been stolen rather than invested in real estate properties. David had been collecting platform fees while investors faced total losses when the fraud collapsed and no actual real estate assets existed to support their crowdfunding investments. When federal authorities investigated his platform operations, they found evidence David had stolen over $30 million in investor funds while operating a fraudulent crowdfunding scheme that destroyed financial security for over 800 investors who trusted his real estate technology platform. Our 28th story takes us to Seattle, where Real Estate Mentorship Program Director Lisa had been coaching new investors and providing ongoing support for real estate investment careers for 9 years. She consistently attracted mentorship students while providing guidance on property acquisition, financing, and investment strategy. Lisa seemed experienced and genuinely committed to student success. Lisa's mentorship program provided the support and guidance I needed to build a successful real estate business, announced satisfied mentee Jennifer during a success story testimonial. Her personal coaching and ongoing support helped me navigate challenges and avoid costly mistakes that destroy beginning investors. But mentorship students started discovering Lisa's advice led to financial disasters rather than investment success, with many students losing their initial investment capital. Following Lisa's recommendations cost me my house and retirement savings, explained devastated student Thomas to the Consumer Protection Bureau. She convinced me to quit my job and invest everything in real estate, but her strategies don't work and now I'm facing bankruptcy. When Thomas confronted Lisa about the investment disasters, Lisa claimed student success depended on market conditions and personal effort beyond her control. Real estate mentorship provides guidance and support, but student success depends on market timing and execution that mentors can't control, Lisa explained. Some students succeed while others face challenges that affect their investment outcomes. But investigation revealed Lisa had been providing advice that didn't work while collecting mentorship fees from students who faced financial ruin from following her recommendations. She'd been encouraging students to take excessive risks with money they couldn't afford to lose, promoting investment strategies that required market conditions that didn't exist, and selling ongoing coaching while students faced mounting losses from her advice. The scheme particularly harmed beginning investors who had trusted Lisa's expertise but lost their life savings and homes from real estate investments that became financial disasters rather than wealth-building opportunities. Lisa had been earning mentorship fees while students faced bankruptcy and homelessness from investment advice that destroyed their financial security. When education authorities investigated her mentorship practices, they found evidence Lisa had collected over $2 million in coaching fees while students suffered investment losses exceeding $15 million from strategies that never offered the success Lisa had promised during mentorship marketing. Our 29th story involves Denver real estate asset management company owner Michael, who had been overseeing investment properties for institutional and individual clients for 12 years. He consistently managed large property portfolios while maximizing returns and maintaining property values for investors. Michael seemed professional and experienced in asset management. Michael's asset management has optimized our property portfolio performance while protecting our investment values, announced satisfied client Patricia during an investor meeting. His expertise in property operations and market analysis has maximized our returns while minimizing management headaches for busy investors. But clients started discovering their properties weren't being maintained properly, with deferred maintenance and tenant problems reducing property values and rental income. Our properties have major maintenance issues and high vacancy rates that Michael never mentioned in his reports, explained concerned investor Robert to the Property Management Commission. His monthly reports show everything is fine, but independent inspections reveal serious problems that are destroying our property values. When Robert demanded detailed maintenance records, Michael provided documentation that seemed inconsistent with actual property conditions and tenant complaints. Investigation revealed Michael had been deferring necessary maintenance while reporting false property performance to collect management fees from properties that were declining in value due to neglect. He'd been pocketing maintenance funds meant for property improvements, allowing tenant problems to worsen while reporting high occupancy rates, and creating false financial reports that concealed property deterioration and declining performance. The scheme particularly harmed investors who trusted Michael's management expertise but discovered their properties had become financial liabilities rather than income-producing assets due to systematic neglect and mismanagement. Michael had been collecting management fees while property values declined and rental income decreased due to maintenance neglect that destroyed long-term property performance. When property management authorities investigated his asset management, they found evidence Michael had misappropriated over $5 million in maintenance funds while managing properties that declined in value by nearly $20 million due to systematic neglect that violated his fiduciary responsibilities to investor clients. Our 30th story comes from Atlanta, where real estate franchise owner Rachel had been operating a brokerage with multiple agents for 10 years. She consistently maintained high sales volumes while providing training and support for real estate agents serving residential buyers and sellers. Rachel seemed knowledgeable about real estate operations and genuinely committed to agent success. Rachel's brokerage provides excellent training and support that helped me build a successful real estate career, announced satisfied agent Stephen during a franchise conference. Her leadership and market expertise created an environment where agents can serve clients effectively while building profitable businesses. But agents started discovering they weren't receiving commissions they had earned from completed transactions, with Rachel claiming various deductions and fees that consumed their expected income. Rachel is keeping most of my commission for fees that weren't disclosed when I joined the brokerage, explained frustrated agent Dorothy to the Real Estate Commission. She's charging me for everything from office expenses to marketing costs that were supposed to be covered by franchise fees. When Dorothy requested detailed commission statements, Rachel provided calculations that seemed to include excessive charges and deductions that weren't explained in franchise agreements. Investigation revealed Rachel had been systematically stealing agent commissions while creating false fee structures that consumed agents' earnings from successful property transactions. She'd been charging agents for services that were supposed to be provided by the brokerage, creating fake expense categories that reduced agent income, and manipulating commission calculations to maximize her personal profit from agents' work. The scheme particularly harmed new agents who trusted Rachel's training and support but discovered they couldn't earn sustainable income due to excessive fees that consumed their commission earnings. Rachel had been building personal wealth while agents struggled financially despite successful sales that should have provided adequate income for career sustainability. When real estate authorities investigated her franchise operations, they found evidence Rachel had stolen over $3 million in agent commissions while operating a brokerage that exploited agents rather than supporting their professional success as franchise agreements had promised. Our 31st story involves Phoenix Real Estate Investment Club organizer Gary, who had been hosting investor meetings and facilitating real estate deals for member participation for 11 years. He consistently attracted club members while providing education and deal opportunities for real estate investors. Gary seemed experienced and genuinely committed to investor education and success. Gary's investment club provided networking opportunities and deal access that helped me build my real estate portfolio, announced satisfied member Jennifer during a club anniversary celebration. His market knowledge and deal sourcing created investment opportunities that individual investors couldn't access independently. But club members started discovering the deals Gary promoted had serious problems that resulted in financial losses rather than the projected returns he had presented during club meetings. The apartment building Gary recommended has major structural problems and negative cash flow, explained frustrated member James to the Attorney General's office. He told the club it was a great deal with stable income, but it's actually a money pit that requires constant capital contributions. When James confronted Gary about the deal problems, Gary claimed real estate investing always involved risks that members should have understood before participating. Investment clubs provide education and opportunities, but members make their own investment decisions and accept associated risks, Gary explained defensively. Market conditions can change and affect investment performance beyond anyone's control. But investigation revealed Gary had been receiving kickbacks from sellers while promoting deals to club members that weren't actually profitable investments. He'd been concealing his financial interests in promoted deals, providing false financial analysis that made bad investments appear profitable, and collecting fees from both members and deal participants while investments failed due to problems Gary should have identified during due diligence. The scheme particularly harmed club members who trusted Gary's expertise in deal analysis but lost significant investment capital from properties that were financial disasters rather than wealth-building opportunities. Gary had been earning referral fees and kickbacks while members faced investment losses that consumed retirement savings and destroyed financial security. When securities authorities investigated his club operations, they found evidence Gary had promoted fraudulent investment deals worth over $12 million while collecting kickbacks that totaled nearly $800,000 from deals that cost club members their life savings. Our 30-second story takes us to Orlando, where real estate development consulting firm owner Patricia had been advising developers on project planning and regulatory approval for 13 years. She consistently helped developers navigate approval processes while ensuring compliance with zoning and building regulations. Patricia seemed knowledgeable about development regulations and genuinely committed to project success. Patricia's consulting expertise helped us get our development approved quickly while avoiding regulatory problems, announced satisfied developer Michael during an industry seminar. Her knowledge of local regulations and approval processes saved us time and money while ensuring our project met all requirements. But developers started discovering their projects faced regulatory violations and approval problems despite paying Patricia for compliance consulting and regulatory guidance. Our development was shut down for zoning violations that Patricia said weren't issues, explained devastated developer Lisa to the Planning Commission. She assured us our project was compliant, but now we're facing massive fines and our financing is in jeopardy due to regulatory problems she should have prevented. When Lisa confronted Patricia about the compliance failures, Patricia claimed regulations had changed after her initial review was completed. Development regulations are complex and can change during project timelines, Patricia explained. Developers need to stay current with regulatory updates throughout the development process. But investigation revealed Patricia had been providing false compliance advice while collecting consulting fees from developers who faced regulatory disasters that proper guidance should have prevented. She'd been approving projects that violated zoning requirements, failing to identify regulatory issues that would prevent development completion, and providing false legal opinions about approval requirements that led developers into expensive legal problems. The scheme particularly harmed developers who had invested significant capital in projects believing they had proper regulatory guidance, but discovered they faced regulatory violations that prevented project completion and financing. Patricia had been collecting consulting fees while developers faced financial ruin from regulatory problems that proper compliance consulting should have identified and resolved before project initiation. When regulatory authorities investigated her consulting practices, they found evidence Patricia had provided false compliance advice affecting over 150 development projects while collecting fees that resulted in regulatory penalties and project failures exceeding $40 million in developer losses. Our 33rd story brings us to Las Vegas, where real estate empire builder Angela had been operating multiple real estate companies and investment programs for 15 years. She seemed like the perfect real estate mogul, managing everything from residential sales to commercial development with apparent expertise and industry recognition. Angela has built the most successful real estate organization in the region, praised industry magazine editor Robert during an awards ceremony. Her companies dominate every aspect of real estate from residential sales to commercial development while maintaining the highest standards of professional service. But a coordinated investigation by multiple regulatory agencies revealed that Angela had been orchestrating comprehensive fraud schemes across every real estate company while maintaining an elaborate facade of industry leadership and professional excellence. Examination of all companies simultaneously uncovered the most extensive real estate fraud operation in state history. Angela had been implementing fraudulent practices in residential sales, commercial leasing, property management, mortgage lending, and development consulting while stealing money from clients, investors, and business partners across every aspect of real estate transactions. The investigation revealed Angela had stolen over $100 million through coordinated fraud schemes that affected thousands of families and businesses across all real estate sectors while maintaining industry recognition for supposed professional excellence in business leadership. When federal authorities arrested Angela during a real estate industry awards ceremony where she was receiving recognition for outstanding achievement and community service, shocked industry colleagues couldn't believe the business leader they'd respected had been deliberately exploiting every client she was supposed to serve while destroying trust in real estate professionals that families depended on for honest guidance during the largest financial transactions of their lives. Thank you for joining me tonight on Drowsy Tales Daily. And may these stories guide you into peaceful sleep with renewed awareness of the importance of real estate accountability and protecting consumers from professionals who would exploit their trust during vulnerable property transactions. Sweet dreams, and I'll see you tomorrow night for another collection of fascinating Reddit stories designed to help you drift off to sleep.